My beloved child, I see you standing at the edge of this new season, looking out into the misty horizon where the path forward seems to fade into absolute nothingness. You are hesitating, aren't you? Your feet feel frozen at the very threshold of the next step, paralyzed by a storm of anxious questions that rage silently inside your mind. You ask yourself if you are truly ready, if you possess the strength to endure what lies ahead, or if this new direction will simply lead you into another painful valley of disappointment. You look backward, counting the heavy scars of old failures, and you fear that your history is bound to repeat itself. But I want you to take a deep, quiet breath right now. Let my presence quiet the racing thoughts that keep your shoulders so tense and your heart so heavy. I know the suffocating weight of the unknown. I see you lying awake in the dark, silent hours of the night, staring at the ceiling, desperately trying to map out a future that you were never meant to control. You want to see the whole road before you take a single step. You want the human certainty of knowing exactly where your foot will land. But my child, true faith is not about having a perfectly illuminated map. It is about trusting the love of the one who guides your steps through the darkness. Do not let the vastness of the next step terrify your soul. You are looking at the mountain before you and feeling so incredibly small, forgetting that the one who created the mountain is standing right beside you, gently whispering your name. You have spent so many years trying to be your own protector, trying to calculate every single outcome so that you won't get hurt again. You have built thick walls around your vulnerable heart, thinking that if you just stay within the tight borders of what is familiar, you will remain safe. But the narrow tent of your comfort zone can no longer hold the abundance of the destiny I have written for you. Do not fear the transition you are facing. The deep discomfort you feel right now is not a sign of destruction. It is the spiritual labor pains of a beautiful new birth. I am stretching your capacity, deepening your spiritual roots, and pulling you out of the old limitations that have kept you stagnant for far too long. Look down at your hand, my beloved child. It may be trembling right now, it may feel completely weak, but it is not empty. It is firmly enclosed within my everlasting, unshakable palm. I am holding your hand with a grip that will never slip, a grip that will never grow tired, and a father's love that will never let you go. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. As I promised you in Isaiah 41:10, you do not have to conquer the entire journey today. I only ask you to trust me with this one single step. Lift your foot, move forward in faith, and watch how the waters part before you. I am already there, waiting for you in your future. My child, look back for a moment at the long, winding road you have already traveled. I see the invisible, heavy trunk of memories you drag along with you wherever you go. The sudden betrayals that left your soul shattered, the nights you wept in absolute isolation, and the times you screamed out my name into a cold, silent room, wondering if I had turned my face away from your suffering. You carry these past experiences not as lessons of grace, but as heavy iron chains around your ankles, making every single new step feel 10 times heavier than it actually is. You are looking at this upcoming transition through the distorted lens of your old wounds. Your mind whispers cruel lies into your spirit, telling you that if you risk moving forward, you will only expose yourself to the same agony, the same rejection, and the same paralyzing grief that broke you before. But I am telling you today, the place I am leading you is not a trap. It is a sanctuary. I see the deep weariness etched into your very bones, an exhaustion that a simple night of sleep can never fix. You are spiritually tired, depleted from years of playing the role of the indestructible anchor for everyone else around you. You have carried the heavy burdens of your family, the worries of your children, the weight of financial responsibilities, and your own secret heartaches, all while wearing a permanent mask of unbreakable stability. When others look at you, they see someone who is strong, independent, and completely unshakable. But when I look at you, I see my fragile, precious child who is secretly collapsing underneath a weight you were never created to bear alone. You do not have to pretend with me. You do not have to clear your throat and swallow your tears when you step into my presence. Lean your aching head against my chest. Let your tense shoulders finally drop, and let the tightly wound anxiety in your spirit melt away in my arms. The reason this next step feels so terrifying to you is because it requires you to completely let go of the steering wheel of your life. You have grown so accustomed to living in survival mode, believing that your constant hypervigilance is the only thing keeping your world from spinning into absolute chaos. You feel that if you stop worrying, if you stop projecting every single worst-case scenario, you will be caught off guard and destroyed. But my beloved, your worry has never changed a single outcome. It has only stolen the strength and peace of your present moment. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. I spoke these exact words to you in Proverbs 3:5-6, because I knew your human mind would constantly try to outthink my divine timing. Your human understanding is limited, like a person staring at a tiny single piece of a massive jigsaw puzzle. But I hold the entire completed masterpiece in my hands. I know exactly why that old door had to slam shut in your face, and I know exactly why this unfamiliar path is the only one that will preserve your soul and lead you into true abundance. Stop fighting the transition. Let go of the illusion of control and allow my sovereign hand to guide you forward. My child, I know the deeper fear that locks your joints and causes your breath to catch every time you think about moving forward. It is not just a fear of the unknown, it is the terrifying weight of making the wrong decision. You are standing at this crossroad, looking down multiple paths, terrified that if you choose poorly, you will ruin everything. You worry that you will step outside of my will, wander into a barren wilderness of your own making, and end up completely stranded where my grace cannot reach you. You think your life is like a fragile glass vase, and that one single misstep on this new terrain will shatter it into a million unfixable pieces. Because of this, you choose paralysis over progress. You convince yourself that standing still in a dead season is safer than walking into a new one. But I am telling you today, my sovereignty is vastly larger than your capacity to make a mistake. Stop treating your future as if it depends entirely on your perfect navigation. You are a human being, bound by time and limited sight, but I am the eternal God who sees the end from the very beginning. If you take a step in sincerity, seeking my heart, do you truly believe I would sit idly by and watch you walk off a cliff? No, my beloved child, I am the Good Shepherd. If your foot slips, my mercy will catch you. If you accidentally take a wrong turn, my hand is fully capable of turning that detour into a divine setup for your growth. Your mistakes cannot abort the destiny I have preordained for your life. Just as I redirected the steps of Jonah, just as I redeemed the failures of Peter, I will adjust your path whenever you falter. You do not need to walk with flawless precision. You only need to walk with a surrendered heart. Look closely at the ground beneath you. It may look rocky, unstable, and altogether frightening, but I have already walked this path before you. I have smoothed out the jagged edges, leveled the rough valleys, and posted my heavenly host to surround you from behind and guard you from the front. The anxiety tightens your chest because you keep looking at the stormy wind instead of keeping your eyes locked onto my face. When you look at me, the waves beneath your feet lose their power to sink you. Let go of the need to be perfect. Let go of the exhausting pressure to always know the right answer. I am your wisdom. I am your clarity. Take that hesitant foot, place it down onto the next step, and trust that my hand is gripping yours tightly enough to override every stumble. My child, as you stand at this precipice, ready to take the next step, I see the subtle ache of loneliness that has begun to settle over your life. Transitions are rarely crowded spaces. When I call a soul out of an old, comfortable season, I often call them into a place of profound separation. You look around you right now, and you notice that the people who walked comfortably with you in the past are no longer standing by your side. Some have pulled away because they cannot comprehend the internal shift happening within your spirit. Others have grown silent because they are intimidated by the new direction I am pointing you toward. You feel misunderstood, judged, and entirely isolated, as if you are walking through a dense wilderness where your voice only echoes back to you. Your mind wonders if this isolation is a sign of my displeasure, a punishment for something you did wrong. But I want you to hear me clearly. This isolation is not your exile, it is your consecration. I see you sitting in the quietness of your home, looking at old photographs or remembering seasons when your life felt loud, filled with validation, and seemingly secure. You miss the comfort of the familiar, even when that familiarity was quietly draining your spiritual strength. You are tempted to turn around, to shrink back into the old crowd and downplay the call I have placed on your life, just to appease the comfort of those who prefer the old, broken version of you. But you cannot fit back into a mold that your soul has completely outgrown. I am intentionally silencing the opinions of the crowd so that my voice can become the loudest frequency in your life. If you constantly rely on the applause of men to give you the courage to take the next step, you will freeze the moment they choose to look away. I am teaching you a deeper maturity, a faith that does not look left or right for human permission, but looks straight up for divine command. The next step requires you to travel light, and that means leaving behind the heavy baggage of human approval. I am stripping away the false safety nets of relationships that were only meant to be scaffolding for a temporary season, not permanent pillars for your future. Do not resent the closed doors, the unanswered calls, or the distant friends. I am protecting the fragile seed of your future destiny from being trampled by the doubts of those who cannot see what I am building within you. Trust the holy subtraction occurring in your life right now. It is merely preparing you for a supernatural multiplication. Hold on to my hand tighter in the quietness of this season, for I am the only one who truly knows the depth of your sacrifice, and I am the only one who holds the eternal reward for your obedience. Walk forward, unbothered by the silence of the world, because the entire kingdom of heaven is watching your progress with absolute joy. My beloved child, I see you looking at your reflection in the mirror when the early morning sun breaks through your window. I see your eyes lingering on the new silver threads in your hair, the deeper lines etched around your brow, and the subtle stiffness in your hands as you wrap your fingers around your morning cup. In those quiet, solitary moments, your mind secretly whispers a devastating lie into your spirit. It is too late for you. Your best years are behind you. You no longer possess the youthful fire, the endless energy, or the sharp focus needed to conquer this unfamiliar territory. You look at the next step I am placing before you, and you count your physical limitations like a checklist of disqualifications. You feel the heavy weight of the ticking clock and you wonder if you have simply blundered through too many chapters of your life to start a brand new story now. But I want you to look past the physical surface and hear the heartbeat of your Creator. I do not call the qualified, I qualify the called. Your age, your physical fatigue, and the number of seasons you have already crossed do not limit my power. In my economy, your silver hair is not a sign of fading glory. It is a crown of splendor, a physical testament to the fires you have already survived and the wisdom you have gathered along the way. You are measuring the magnitude of this next step by the amount of strength left in your own natural frame. You feel winded and overwhelmed just thinking about the uphill climb, completely forgetting that I am the one who carries you upon eagle's wings. Do you truly believe that my plans for your life expire when your physical stamina begins to alter? Look at the sacred pages of history I have already written. I waited until Abraham and Sarah were completely spent in their natural capacity, well past the age of hope, before I birthed the miracle promise of nations from their bodies. I called Moses out of a forgotten desert when he was 80 years old, an age when the world believed his story was completely finished, and I sent him to stand before the most powerful empire on earth. I do not look for raw human muscles or flawless, unwrinkled skin to manifest my glory. I look for a spirit that has been tenderized by trials, a heart that has learned through years of weeping that human effort is nothing compared to divine grace. This next step is not a race of physical speed, it is a walk of deep spiritual surrender. Your trembling hand is fully enclosed within mine, and that is more than enough to steady every single step you take on this new, rocky terrain. When you feel weak, when your knees shake at the sheer scale of this transition, that is precisely where my supernatural power becomes your absolute support. I'm not asking you to run into this new season with your own fading energy. I am inviting you to step into it clothed in my unceasing, everlasting strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I place this eternal promise in Isaiah 140, 30-31, because I knew there would come a day just like today, where your body feels slow, but my call requires your soul to move. Do not count yourself out. Do not allow the physical parameters of time to dictate the boundless breakthroughs I am about to perform through you. Your greatest assignment, your deepest peace, and your most radiant testimony do not lie in your past. They are waiting for you right now, just one step forward into my outspread arms. My child, I have seen you sitting in the absolute quietness of your kitchen, watching your coffee grow cold as you stare blankly at the floor, completely engulfed by the painful memories of recent rejection. You are mourning the closed doors that slammed shut in your face, just when you thought you had finally found a safe, permanent harbor. You look at the plans that suddenly dissolved right before your eyes, the financial opportunities that vanished into thin air, and the relationships that cracked and fell apart despite your desperate attempts to glue the broken pieces back together. In your heart, a bitter, exhausting question has begun to take root. Why did you let this happen, Lord? If you truly love me, why did you allow my hard work, my deep devotion, and my highest hopes to end in such a devastating failure? You interpret the closing of these doors as a sign that I have rejected you, or that I am punishing you for some hidden flaw. But I want you to look into my eyes today and hear the truth of my fatherly heart. Not every loss in your life is a punishment. Some separations are actually a rescue. You cry out in deep disappointment when I pull you away from certain paths, much like a small child cries when a loving father firmly grabs their arm to yank them off a busy street. The child does not see the speeding car racing toward them from around the corner. They only feel the sudden sharp discomfort of their father's grip and the frustration of being stopped from going where they wanted. But the father acts out of a fierce, protective love because he sees the danger that the child cannot possibly recognize. That is exactly how I have operated in your life, my beloved. I saw the hidden venom behind the doors you so desperately tried to unlock. I saw the spiritual compromise, the emotional exhaustion, and the quiet destruction that was waiting for your soul on the other side of that path, of that. I chose to let you feel the temporary sting of disappointment today, rather than allowing you to experience the permanent devastation of your destiny tomorrow. Stop fighting for places where you no longer belong. Stop begging for access to rooms that I have intentionally locked for your own protection. The discomfort and the confusion you feel in this current transition are not signs that your life is moving backward. I am simply clearing out the old, withered weeds from your garden so that the new, miraculous seeds of heaven can finally break through the soil. When you look at a closed door, do not see it as a dead end. See it as a divine redirection. If you place the full security of your heart in human institutions, in shifting economic circumstances, or in the validation of flawed people, you will constantly be swept away into chaos when they inevitably change. I am your only unshakable rock, Isaiah. 26:3 reminds you that I will keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on me. Fix your gaze back onto my face. Take a deep breath and trust that my wise, loving hands are steering your life toward a future far more magnificent than anything you have lost. My child, I know there are moments when the hardest part of taking the next step is not the fierce wind or the heavy rain, but the crushing, heavy silence that surrounds you. You have been kneeling by your bed, pouring out your soul in agonizing prayer, yet day after day, your circumstances remain stubbornly unchanged. You look for a visible sign, a small whisper, or a sudden shift in the atmosphere, but all you receive is a profound quietness that fills your empty room. In the loneliness of that silence, a toxic seed of doubt begins to grow in your heart. You find yourself thinking that I have turned a deaf ear to your cries, that your prayers are merely bouncing off a cold ceiling and falling uselessly back to the floor. You feel entirely forgotten, abandoned in a dark, narrow corridor between your past and your future. But I want you to hear me clearly today. My silence is never my absence. It is my deepest workspace. Think of the dark, quiet soil of winter. When you look at a barren field covered in frost, your human eyes see absolute stillness, a landscape of death and emptiness. But beneath that frozen surface, completely out of sight, an intense, miraculous work is taking place. Seeds are quietly taking root, stretching deeper into the hidden earth to find nutrients, preparing themselves to burst forth into a magnificent harvest when spring inevitably arrives. If a farmer became impatient and constantly dug up the soil to see if the seed was growing, he would destroy the very life he was waiting for. That is exactly what is happening in your life right now, my beloved. You are passing through a sacred season of spiritual transition. I am working tirelessly in the unseen realm, moving pieces on the chessboard of your life that your finite mind cannot yet comprehend. I am aligning the right encounters, dismantling generational barriers, and constructing an unshakable foundation beneath your trembling feet. I am not just preparing a new path for you. I am carefully preparing your soul to be strong enough to carry the weight of that path. If I gave you the breakthrough too early, while your spirit was still fragile and your faith was still dependent on your human validation, the very blessing you prayed for would end up crushing you. I am using this quiet waiting room to strip away your reliance on the noise of the world, teaching you how to anchor your soul solely in my unchanging character. Do not grow weary in this quiet space. Psalm 126:5 promises you that those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. Not a single tear you have shed in the dark hours has been wasted. I have gathered them all, and they are currently watering the hidden seeds of your upcoming destiny. Hold tightly to my hand in this stillness, even when you cannot hear my voice. Trust the sovereign rhythm of my timing, for the dawn is already being commanded to rise, and what was conceived in the secret place of silence will soon be revealed in undeniable breakthrough power. My child, I see how tightly your fingers are gripping the edge of the boat right now. You are looking at the next step I am asking you to take, and you are waiting for the raging waves to completely die down before you dare to move your feet. You are praying for the stormy sea of your circumstances to turn into solid, unyielding ice, so that you can walk across it with complete human security, without any risk of slipping, falling, or drowning. You want all the answers guaranteed before you show any obedience, but that is not the law of my kingdom. I do not ask you to step out because the water is safe. I ask you to step out because my voice has commanded it. Remember Peter when he sat in that storm-tossed boat with the other disciples? The wind was howling, the darkness was pitch black, and the waves were violently crashing against the fragile wood. In his natural mind, stepping out onto that liquid chaos was absolute madness. Yet, the moment his ears captured my single, sovereign word, "Come," something shifted deep within his spirit. He had to make a definitive choice between the false safety of a leaking boat and the supernatural security of my presence. You are facing that exact same choice today. The old lifestyle and the comfortable routines you are clinging to are no longer a true haven. They have become a sinking ship that can no longer sustain the weight of your destiny. You stay there out of mere habit, enduring the slow, agonizing erosion of your peace, because you are more terrified of the deep, unfamiliar water than you are of the stagnant vessel. You tell yourself that you will take the next step as soon as you have saved enough financial resources, as soon as the structural conditions stabilize, or as soon as everyone in your family fully agrees with your direction. You are waiting for a perfect alignment of earthly parameters. But if you wait for the perfect weather, you will never sow your seeds, and you will never reap your harvest. I am intentionally calling you to step out while the wind is still blowing fiercely, while your heart is still pounding against your ribs, and while your joints still feel completely weak. This is precisely where your natural ability ends and my supernatural grace takes over. The moment Peter took his foot off the solid wood of the boat and placed it onto the unstable wave, the water did not magically turn into stone. It remained water, but it became instantly subject to the weight of his faith and the absolute authority of my command. As long as his eyes remained locked entirely onto my face, he defied the gravity of his fears and stood firm above the deep. But the second he shifted his gaze down toward the towering waves and the howling winds around him, confusion and terror pulled him under. I see you doing the exact same thing right now. You take a half step forward in faith, but then you immediately look at your limited bank account. You look at the cruel criticism of your neighbors, or you look at the fading strength of your physical body, and you begin to sink into a swamp of paralyzing anxiety. If you look at the storm, you will drown in panic. But if you look at me, you will walk on top of the very things that are trying to break you. My hand is already outstretched, hovering right over yours, ready to catch you the exact moment you dare to let go of the boat. My child, as you take this next step with your hand tucked securely inside mine, you might feel a strange, unsettling shaking beneath your feet. You might look at your life right now and feel as though everything you once relied upon is being dismantled layer by layer. You are experiencing a deep internal disruption, and it frightens you. You feel as if the very floorboards of your identity are being ripped up, leaving you exposed and vulnerable. You ask me in your quiet distress, Lord, if you are holding my hand, why does it feel like my world is falling apart? Why does this transition feel less like a gentle guidance and more like a violent storm? But I want you to understand the sacred art of divine renovation. I am not dismantling your life to leave you ruined in the wilderness. I am tearing down the faulty foundations you built in your own strength so that I can construct something eternal, something completely unshakable. You have spent years building a version of yourself designed merely to survive the harsh climates of this world. You built walls of defense out of your past traumas. You crafted a personality out of human performance, endless striving, and the desperate need to prove your worth to those who did not care. You became an expert at managing your own brokenness, hiding the deep cracks beneath a beautifully painted exterior. But my beloved, I did not create you to merely manage your brokenness. I created you to be completely made whole. The shaking you feel right now is the holy eviction of everything that does not belong in your future. I am shaking your comforts, I am shaking your networks, and I am shaking your reliance on human wisdom. Not to destroy you, but to show you what is truly indestructible within you. If I do not clear away the fragile scaffolding of your old life, you will never have the space to receive the massive, heavenly structure I am about to lower into your reality. Do not weep over the dust and the debris of the things that are falling away. When a master potter places a rough, unformed lump of clay upon the spinning wheel, his hands must press down firmly. He must apply intense pressure, breaking down the stiff, stubborn air bubbles hidden deep within the clay. To the clay, the pressure feels like an assault, a painful undoing of its current form. But the potter is not angry. His eyes are filled with a magnificent vision of a beautiful royal vessel. He knows exactly how much heat the clay can endure, and he knows precisely when to soften his touch. I am that patient potter, and you are the clay in my hands. I am pressing into the deep, hidden spaces of your insecurity, refining your faith through this intense transition. Trust the pressure, trust the undoing. For I am reshaping your soul into a masterpiece of resilience, a vessel pure and filled with a greater light than you have ever known. Keep your eyes fixed on my face. Let your heart rest in my sovereign love and confidently take the next step into the beautiful transformation I have ordained for you. My child, as you take this next step and venture deeper into this unfamiliar territory, I hear the quiet, treacherous whispers that have begun to echo in the darkest corners of your mind. It is the subtle, accusing voice of the enemy, dragging up the buried ghosts of your past, pointing fingers at the mistakes you made decades ago and relentlessly listing every single one of your hidden regrets. You look at the holy calling before you. You look at the brilliant, pure path of blessing I am asking you to walk, and you suddenly feel a deep, paralyzing sense of unworthiness. You look at your own hands and see only the dirt of your old choices, the failures of your youth, or the opportunities you carelessly squandered. You think to yourself, how can God possibly use someone like me? How can I step into a season of honor when I know the secret shames of my own history? You are tempted to pull your hand away from mine and shrink back into the shadows, believing that you are a hypocrite who doesn't deserve my goodness. But I want you to look directly into my eyes right now. I am not a God of condemnation. I am the Father of absolute redemption. Your past does not hold the sovereign authority to write the script of your future. When I look at you, I do not see the permanent stain of your mistakes. I see a precious child whom I have bought with an infinite price, washed completely clean and clothed in the royal robes of my grace. Stop disqualifying yourself from the very breakthroughs that I have already preordained and paid for on your behalf. If I only used perfect, unblemished people to manifest my glory on this earth, the pages of history would be entirely blank. I chose David despite his massive failures. I chose Moses despite his stutter and his crimson past. I chose Paul despite the deep darkness of his track record. I do not look for a flawless performance. I look for a surrendered, contrite heart that is willing to let my love do the healing. The enemy wants you to stay trapped in the prison of your old identity because he is absolutely terrified of the supernatural power that will be unlocked the moment you confidently step into your true identity as my heir. This next step is not a reward for your perfect behavior. It is a profound manifestation of my sovereign mercy. I am intentionally using the very places where you were once broken to form a deep, beautiful empathy within your soul so that you can eventually become a lighthouse for other fractured minds who are wandering in despair. Do not allow the heavy weight of yesterday's guilt to paralyze the stride of your today. Your sins have been cast into the deepest depths of the forgotten sea, erased forever by my unconditional love. Lift your head up high. Let the heavy iron chains of shame drop from your neck and allow the quiet peace of my forgiveness to wash over your weary spirit. Take that next step with bold confidence, not because of your own human perfection, but because of my absolute perfection residing within you. My hand is holding yours, and my grace will always be more than enough to cover your every inadequacy. My child, I know that as you have bravely taken these initial steps into the unfamiliar territory I have called you into, a new and subtle kind of panic has begun to tighten your stomach. You have successfully left the safety of the old shore. You have broken away from the toxic comfort zones of your past, but the new land of promise is still not yet visible to your human eyes. You find yourself standing in the middle of a vast, quiet interim, an emotional and spiritual wilderness where the old is completely gone, but the new has not yet fully manifested. In this middle space, you look around and feel an overwhelming sense of exposure. Your natural throat feels dry, and you spend your hours anxiously scanning the empty horizon, wondering if your resources will run out before you ever reach your destination. You look at your dwindling bank account. You look at the limited energy left in your physical frame, and a heavy, bitter sigh escapes your lips in the quietness of your room. Your mind whispers that you have foolishly stranded yourself, and that your obedience to my voice has only led you into a place of scarcity and starvation. But I want you to calm your racing pulse right now and listen to the truth of my providence. I am not a God who leads my children into the desert to let them perish. You are measuring your security by what is currently visible in your pantry, what is tangible in your hands, or what can be calculated by human logic. But your true supply line has never been an earthly stream. It is a heavenly reservoir. When I commanded the prophet Elijah to go and hide by the brook Cherith during a severe famine, his human understanding must have been filled with questions. The brook was small, the land was barren, and there was absolutely no natural source of food. But I did not supply his needs through a normal marketplace. I commanded the ravens, creatures that naturally steal food for themselves, to bring him bread and meat every single morning and evening. And when that brook eventually dried up, I did not abandon him. I sent him to a poor widow who had only a single handful of flour and a tiny drop of oil left to her name. In human terms, it was an impossible setup for survival. But through her simple obedience and his unwavering faith, that small jar of flour was never used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry until the day I sent rain back upon the earth. Stop panicking over the emptiness of your current surroundings. Your natural eyes can only see the dry sand of the wilderness, but my sovereign hand is already orchestrating an invisible supply network on your behalf. I am your Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides, and my provision is never dictated by the inflation of this world, the instability of the economy, or the limitations of your physical age. I am intentionally withholding a lifetime of supply all at once, because I am teaching you the sacred discipline of daily dependency. I want you to know the profound peace of receiving your daily manna straight from my hands, waking up every single morning with the absolute assurance that my grace and my provision will be precisely tailored to the needs of that specific day. Do not let the illusion of scarcity tempt you to turn around and run back to the slavery of your past just to find a false sense of security. Hold tightly to my hand in this middle space. Keep walking forward with a quiet, confident stride, for the ravens have already been commanded. The jars are already being filled in the spiritual realm, and every single step you take in obedience will unlock a supernatural stream of abundance that no earthly drought can ever stop. My child, I see how your eyes shift anxiously whenever you gather with those who used to know you best. I see the quiet sting you feel in your chest when you share a tiny glimpse of the new direction I am calling you into, only to be met with cynical smiles, doubtful headshakes, or heavy words of mockery. The people around you, even those you love dearly, cannot comprehend the profound internal transformation occurring within your soul. They look at your past mistakes, they look at your physical age, and they try to measure your future by the limited boundaries of their own natural logic. They ask you why you are risking everything now, why you cannot just stay content with the quiet, predictable routine of your old life. In your deep desire to be understood, you spend hours exhausting your spirit, trying to explain the unexplainable, begging for their validation, and hoping they will give you permission to take the next step. But I am telling you today, do not cast your precious pearls before those who do not understand the language of heaven. Not everyone who walks beside you has been granted the spiritual eyes to see the magnificent vision I am forming inside your soul. The holy promise, the quiet dream, and the bold calling I have planted within your heart are incredibly fragile in this current season. Like a delicate seed buried deep within the dark, warm soil, your new beginning requires an absolute environment of protection, prayer, and profound silence to fully mature. If you constantly pull the seed up to show it to the world, seeking the fleeting applause of the crowd, you will inadvertently wither the very life I am trying to birth through you. Look at Mary, the mother of Jesus, when the angel revealed the miraculous, impossible plan of heaven for her life. The world around her was filled with whispers, harsh judgments, and total misunderstanding. Yet the sacred scriptures tell us that Mary did not run around trying to convince the critics. She treasured up all these things and pondered them deeply within her own heart. There is a divine wisdom in remaining hidden within me during seasons of major transition. I am intentionally closing the ears of the crowd so that you will learn to decouple your obedience from human approval. An eagle does not learn to fly by listening to the noise of chickens on the ground. I am lifting your vision higher, deeper, and farther than anything your old circles can ever comprehend. Stop waiting for a human confirmation to validate a divine command. If my sovereign voice has spoken peace into your spirit, my word remains absolute and true, even if the entire world stands in complete opposition. I am using this precise season to build an ironclad shield of spiritual maturity around your character. I want you to become so deeply rooted in my presence that no mocking word can shake your stability, and no cynical doubt can cause you to retreat into the old tent of false safety. Learn to embrace the quietness. Step into the hidden room of prayer. Shut the door against the chaotic noise of too many opinions, and let my voice become your only compass. Psalm 46:10 commands your weary soul, "Be still and know that I am God." Rest your head against my chest. Let your spirit settle into my unchanging love, and confidently take the next step with your hand locked firmly inside mine. The path ahead belongs to you and me, and when my appointed time arrives, the fruits of your silent obedience will bloom so powerfully that no critic will ever be able to deny the glory of what I have done through you. My child, as you bravely plant your feet onto this new ground, I want you to look closely at the jagged scars you have carried for so long. For years you have viewed those scars with a deep sense of bitterness, regret, and hidden shame, seeing them only as painful reminders of the seasons when you were broken, betrayed, or left completely desolate. You have tried so hard to conceal them from the world, wrapping them in tight layers of silence so that no one would see your vulnerability or realize how close you came to giving up entirely. But I am calling you to a profound, holy realization today. I do not waste a single fraction of your pain. The very trials you survived were not meant to destroy your identity, but to permanently expand your capacity for compassion. The next step I am asking you to take is not just about your personal comfort, your private financial blessing, or your individual breakthrough. It is about your divine positioning to become a source of life and healing for other fractured souls who are currently wandering in the exact same darkness you just escaped. Think of a lighthouse standing tall on a jagged cliff in the middle of a violent midnight storm. The lighthouse does not possess the natural power to calm the raging wind, nor can it stop the crashing waves from violently striking its concrete foundation. But its radiant beam pierces through the thick fog, guiding lost, terrified, and exhausted ships safely back toward the harbor, preventing them from being completely swallowed by the deep. That is exactly what I am calling you to become in this generation, my beloved child. You are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. The deep empathy that now flows through your spirit was painstakingly forged in the hot, agonizing fires of your own personal suffering. When you meet someone who is quietly drowning in anxiety, who is putting on a fake smile while their heart is breaking in isolation, you will know exactly how to look into their eyes. Your words will carry the heavy weight of authority and the gentle warmth of genuine heaven, because you aren't speaking from mere theory. You are speaking as a living witness of my resurrected life. I did not place you in this specific season, with your unique history and at your precise age, by a mere historical accident. Remember Queen Esther. I lifted her out of absolute obscurity and strategically positioned her in a royal palace, not so she could live in luxurious safety, but for a magnificent purpose, vastly greater than her own comfort, for such a time as this. You too are being perfectly aligned by my sovereign hand. Every single delay you endured, every closed door that made you weep in your kitchen, and every quiet year of painful isolation was a holy preparation for the assignment that stands before you right now. Stop viewing yourself as a weak, exhausted survivor who is barely scraping by. See yourself through the eyes of your Creator. You are an instrument of refined gold, a conduit of my everlasting glory, and a living prophecy of my restoring power. Take this next step with a bold, majestic stride. Do not fear the responsibility of the call, for my hand is gripping yours with an unbreakable strength, and my presence will continually flow through your life like a river that never runs dry. My child, can you feel the subtle change in the spiritual atmosphere right now? If you listen closely in the absolute quietness of this moment, you will realize that the long, freezing winter of your soul is finally beginning to break. The heavy, dark fog that has clouded your vision for months is slowly dissolving, and the very first golden rays of a supernatural dawn are preparing to break over the horizon of your life. You have endured the long night. You have survived the crushing isolation of the wilderness, and you have protected the fragile seed of your faith in the secret place of prayer. Now you are standing at the absolute threshold of a monumental shift. The next step I am asking you to take is no longer about testing your endurance in the dark. It is about walking boldly into the daylight of your manifestation. Yet as the promised land draws nearer, I see a familiar, subtle hesitation trying to creep back into your spirit. The enemy knows he can no longer keep you trapped in your past, so he is trying to paralyze you at the very finish line through the spirit of procrastination and doubt. He whispers that you should wait just a little longer, that the timing isn't perfect, or that you are dreaming too big for someone of your age. Turn a deaf ear to those dying whispers. The transition is over. The hour of your acceleration has arrived. Look back one last time at the mountain of anxiety you have climbed. You did not survive the fire just to settle for the ashes. I did not carry you through the deepest valleys of betrayal, heartbreak, and lack just to leave you stranded at the border of your breakthrough. I am checking the alignment of your heart today. Let go of the lingering fear that everything will suddenly fall apart the moment you experience joy. You have been in survival mode for so long that your mind has become conditioned to brace for trauma, even when I am pouring out favor. You secretly worry that the other shoe is about to drop, that this peace is too good to be true, and that disaster is hiding right around the corner. But my love is not a cruel illusion. The doors I am opening for you in this season are permanent doorways of grace that no human hand or demonic opposition can ever slam shut. I am rewriting your expectations. I am breaking the generational cycles of fear, worry, and constant struggle that have plagued your family line for decades. You are stepping into a new heritage of divine rest, where you will no longer have to sweat and strive in your own natural strength to achieve what only my supernatural breath can accomplish in a single second. Take a deep, cleansing breath and let your fingers lock even tighter within my everlasting palm. Your hand is not held by a distant, indifferent force. It is cradled by the very Creator who numbered every hair on your head and knew this exact day before the foundations of the world were laid. You are ready. You are fully equipped. The scars you carry are no longer open wounds. They have been transformed into beautiful medals of honor, proving that you are resilient, chosen, and deeply loved. Do not let the unfamiliarity of this new season cause you to shrink back into the narrow tent of your past. Lift your head high, drop your shoulders, and plant your foot firmly onto the next step with absolute, unyielding courage. I am already standing in your tomorrow, clearing the roads, preparing the harvest, and waiting to welcome you into the fullness of the masterpiece I have written for your life. My beloved child, we have finally arrived at the magnificent culmination of this sacred transition. Look down at your feet right now. They are no longer freezing at the edge of the cliff, paralyzed by the terrifying mists of the unknown. You have braved the winds, you have silenced the accusing whispers of the past, and you have chosen to walk by faith and not by sight. And behold, the ground beneath you has not given way. It has become a solid, unyielding rock, anchored firmly in my eternal sovereignty. The next step you were so deeply afraid to take has officially become the very foundation of your grandest victory. The old architecture of your life has been completely cleared away, and the glorious new masterpiece of your destiny is now standing in full, undeniable view of heaven and earth. You are no longer just a survivor of the storm. You are the crowned champion of my grace. Every single puzzle piece of your journey has finally come together into a beautiful, seamless symphony of purpose. Every midnight tear you wept in isolation, every painful delay that made your heart sick with confusion, and every closed door that felt like a cruel rejection was intentionally woven by my wise, loving hands to bring you to this exact hour of ultimate restoration. You can finally lay down your heavy armor, my weary warrior. The battle against your past is completely finished, and victory has been permanently decided by my unconditional love. I am erasing the very memory of your lack, healing the deepest residual aches of your trauma, and filling your soul with a profound, unearthly peace that surpasses all human comprehension. You no longer have to live on the defensive, waiting for the next disaster to strike. Your future is not a chaotic accident. It is safely held within the palm of the one who commands the morning dawn to rise. Our hands are now locked together in an unbreakable, everlasting covenant that no earthly power or spiritual warfare can ever disrupt. I am your shield, your fortress, and your exceeding great reward. As you step forward into the boundless fields of abundance, joy, and spiritual maturity I have prepared for you, remember that you are never walking alone. My living presence will continue to envelop you from behind, stand beside you in every encounter, and go before you to level every remaining mountain. Your life has officially become a radiant lighthouse, a living testimony of my unceasing faithfulness that will guide countless lost souls back to the safety of my embrace. Rise up in absolute peace, breathe in the fresh wind of heaven, and walk forward into your glorious future with your head held high. For I am with you always, even until the end of the age. Receive my love, rest in my finished work, and step boldly into the abundant life you were always born to live.